Hello folks, and welcome to Focus on East Alabama. We have a very special guest on program with us today. We have Miss Katherine Webb, who is Miss Alabama USA. Katherine, let me welcome you to our program and tell you how much we appreciate you coming out and visiting with us. Now, you and I have been exchanging messages for a couple of 3 weeks now to finally get you around to get you out here, but we do appreciate you taking your time. I know right now you're following a pretty tight schedule.
It's quite all right. I have to come in and support my hometown.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. Now, this is the first time that you've been on program with us, so we want you just to introduce yourself to our audience. If you'll look into this camera over here and just tell folks all about yourself, who your family is, where you went to school, a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Katherine Webb, and I'm the current Miss Alabama USA for 2012. And my family is originally from here in Phenix City, and my dad and my uncle run a business in Columbus doing manufacturing metal roofing panels. And but I actually went to school in Columbus. I went to Northside High School, and I graduated from there in 2007. And then my family moved to Phenix City, and then me and my older brother went to Auburn University. And so I graduated last year of May 2011 with a degree in business management and administration.
Okay. Now, you failed to mention your dad's name, your mom's name, and how many siblings you have, and we have to talk about Grandma and Grandpa also.
That's right.
Okay.
I am one of four. I have a mom and dad. Their names are Alan and Leslie Webb, and I have a sister. Her name is Laurie Webb, and I have a brother who's her twin, is Matthew Webb as well, and they both graduated from Smith Station High School this past year. And I have an older brother. His name is David Webb. He works at the Chick-fil-A in Columbus by the Gateway Walmart, and he's the manager there. But my grandparents' names are Miriam and Charles Webb, and they own a construction company off of Pierce Road.
Okay, that's known as Webb Construction Group,
That's right?
I know that because I've seen Charles driving the truck around town. So that's how I knew the name.
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, my youngest son worked for your granddad at one time.
Really?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I did not know that.
He's a designer.
Oh,
he's
is he?
He's a draftsman, yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. I didn't know that.
And
I probably have seen him
And his
around.
name is Barry.
Barry.
Barry,
okay.
Right, yeah. Okay,
awesome.
Now, tell us a little bit more about how you got involved as far as the Miss Alabama USA, I guess it's termed a pageant, right?
Right.
Contest, pageant, whatever. How did you get involved in this?
It all started in 2007, and I had met a prom and pageant dress designer. Her name was Sherry Hill, and she came to a local dress shop for her trunk show. And so I walked in that day, and I had always been fascinated with, fashion and beautiful dresses, and so I wasn't particularly looking for anything. But I walked in, and she recruited me to come model for her in her showrooms whenever she would go to market and show her line. And so I did that, and in the meantime, I met title holders that would model for her too. And just kind of seeing what their lifestyle was like and kind of the life they were living, it really kind of put a dream inside of me that, this could lead to many opportunities to do great things and to really kind of find my niche and to find what I'm meant to do. And so that year I enrolled in the Miss Georgia USA pageant when I was living in Columbus. And so I competed, and it was my first time doing that type of thing ever. And so just being on stage and learning how to, present myself to people and have stage presence, it was quite a new experience for me. But I won Miss Photogenic, and I placed in the top 15. And out of 60 contestants. And so that was an accomplishment for me. And so it was a really great experience. I learned a lot. And so what I decided to do was to wait until after I graduated from Auburn University and before I competed one more time. And so I went to Auburn, had the college experience. I grew more as a person, and those years I was able to develop more into who I needed to be able to compete at the national level if I was to win. And so I was living in Auburn. I had just graduated, and so I was kind of in that weird transition of the college graduate who didn't really know what to do. or was having trouble finding a job. And so I knew that maybe it was a time for me to enroll in the Miss Alabama USA pageant, more so for the opportunity rather than the crown and the sash. And so I did, not really knowing what I was getting into or what it would be like, just because I had competed so long ago, probably 4 years prior, and so it was quite a good experience. And I think I made it a good experience for myself because I made myself open to getting to know the other girls instead of looking at it as a competition. And I ended up winning, and so here I am, Miss Alabama. I just competed at Miss USA, which was probably one of the most exciting experiences of my life thus far, and so it was just an awesome experience.
Okay. Now I have to go back to your early childhood.
Yes.
Think real hard now. Tell me about the things that you enjoyed as a small child, as a young girl.
Just playing outside. I think that's one thing that our youth and younger people lack nowadays, is because technology is such a major thing in our world now, and so they're always on their phones, and they're sitting behind the television playing video games, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's kind of stimulating in a way, but at the same time, I miss so much just going outside and playing with my older brother in the woods and building forts and putting on our rain boots and playing in the mud. And
you're trying to say you were really kind of a tomboy?
I was.
Okay.
I was very much a tomboy. And I even look back at my old pictures and be like, what was I wearing? Like, what was wrong with me? I had no fashion sense whatsoever. But I was very much a tomboy. I played softball for 7 years and had to quit because of shoulder injury that I acquired while pitching. But I was very much a tomboy, and I loved being outside, and that's something that I miss.
What position did you play?
I played every position.
Oh, okay.
Literally, each year each year the coach saw that I fit better in certain positions, and sometimes during the game I would change positions for someone, and so. But probably my favorite position that I played was first base.
Okay.
I was growing up, I was already tall, and so during that time I was probably 5'8", 5'9", while the other girls were maybe 5'4".
Since you brought up the subject, I'm going to have to ask you, how tall are you, Katherine?
I'm 5'11" without heels.
Without heels. With heels. Well over 6 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I rarely ever wear heels around town here because it's kind of abnormal to see a tall girl just kind of running around. But I've noticed I'm able to wear them in the larger cities like Atlanta and New York because that's kind of a more... they have more taller girls there.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
I thought you were going to say that's a more cosmopolitan city.
It is, and
okay.
So you're more likely to see girls my height and very much into fashion and heels than you are here.
Okay, all right. Now, did you play in a Columbus League or in Phenix City when you played softball?
I played in Phenix City, and I also played in Columbus. I played in Phenix City growing up. And then I remember moving to Athens, Georgia for a little bit. I played there, and then I came back and tried out one last time for the Columbus League, and so I've played in a couple of different leagues.
What other activities do you enjoy? Hobbies?
My parents currently live on Lake Oliver, and so I love being able to go out on the lake and just ride the boat and enjoy the water.
Do you ski?
I do. I water ski.
Okay.
I love to water ski, and it's just so relaxing and peaceful being out on the lake. There's something about it that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any other particular hobbies?
I like to draw. I like to draw fashion illustrations, and my parents have always known me to be kind of a dreamer and a fantasizer. I like to. And my mind just operates in that way. And so I like to kind of express that through what I draw.
Do you think you might consider a career in fashion design?
I've considered it. Yeah. I guess right now I just know that maybe I'm kind of being pulled into the entertainment industry, whatever that is, and maybe I'll end up in design, or maybe I'll end up doing some hosting. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever
All right.
happens, I'm open
We've
to
just
it.
been given a signal. It's time for us to go to break, so we'll go to
Okay.
break for just a moment, and then we'll be back for more conversation with Katherine Webb, Miss Alabama USA, and then we'll get into this in just a moment. Also, one of the 10 finalists in the Miss USA pageant in Las Vegas just recently. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Focus on East Alabama. Again, our guest today is Katherine Webb, the reigning Miss Alabama USA and one of the 10 finalists in the Miss USA pageant in Las Vegas recently. Now, Katherine, in talking with you, I know you're just a down-to-earth hometown girl. I want you to tell me a little bit about the experience, first of all, in the Miss Alabama pageant.
Okay.
And where it was and so forth and so on. But then, more importantly, I want you to tell me all about Las Vegas.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, the Miss Alabama USA pageant was held in Montgomery on January 28th and 29th. And so I think there were about 50 girls that I was competing against for the Miss title. And then they also have a Miss Teen pageant the same night that was combined with ours. And so there were about maybe 45, 50 girls in that as well. But there are girls all over Alabama competing and hoping to win the title and going on to compete at Miss USA. But it was an awesome experience. It was 2 days long, and we got to do a lot of things. We got to go to the Hank Williams Museum they have downtown Montgomery, and then they also were able to serve us a really nice dinner. I forgot one of the restaurants it was at. But it was really nice just to hang out and to get to know all the girls. But mainly we were in rehearsing for the actual pageant. But it was just an awesome experience, and it was very kind of my thing because the opening number was a fashion show. We got to design our own opening number outfits, kind of based from what the organization gave us ideas for, which was we could have either something fur or something with feathers on it. And so I designed my own outfit, which is really cool. And so we were able to do the opening number. It was a fashion show with all the girls, and so I think each time they called my name out, I was even more shocked than before. I was expecting to do well, but I wasn't expecting to win. And and then the onstage question, it was pretty. The question just wasn't a normal pageant question. I think.
Can I ask you what the question was?
Sure. The judge went on kind of a spree talking about something political, and then his final question was, what's the difference between a politician who screams and a politician who speaks loudly? And so it was my first time ever being on stage, like in front of anybody answering a question. And so I was prepared to answer a question, but I wasn't prepared to answer that question in that way.
I'm going to have to ask you the answer.
Oh gosh, I was so nervous. I don't remember. I don't remember what I said. And even when my mom puts on the DVD at home to rewatch it, I was just like, please skip that part because I'm mortified to watch it again because I don't even remember what I said. But I probably went on a rant about how I think we, as a country, need to elect someone who's going to bring us out of debt and whatever.
Solve all the problems.
Yes,
right.
exactly. And that pertained nothing to the question. But luckily, I still won. So that was really interesting. But also, this is a story that I love to tell girls as advice before they go out and do their pageant. I lost my swimsuit, during the swimsuit competition, I lost my shoe on stage. And so I was prancing around with one shoe and like one of my other ones like somewhere laying around on stage. And I still won swimsuit. I won the swimsuit competition. And I guess that's kind of something I like to share with girls. Be like, it doesn't matter if you lose an earring. It doesn't matter if you lose your shoe on stage or if you trip. Just keep going and have fun. And
still maintain that sense of presence.
That's right. That's right. And so everybody tells me that I had such a good recovery and I just look so natural. And so that's a story I like to share with some other girls. But that's kind of something that I will never forget. But just being there with me and my runner-up, just me and her standing there, was really an awesome experience. Just because nothing like that has ever happened for me as far as, you know, going out and competing for something and really winning. And I've been in competitions all my life, you know, with softball and all that. But in that type of competition where I'm singled out and where I'm kind of in the limelight, that's never happened for me. And it's always been, you know, kind of I was the runner-up in every situation. And so just being there with me and her, I was expecting her to win, and I was already telling her, like, well, congratulations, you know, you did amazing. And I didn't tell her that, but in my head, I was kind of like...
You were rehearsing your speech.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did not expect to win at all. And so when I did, I think I cried, and I think I laughed, and it was so many emotions going at one time. I didn't know how to really act. But because usually, I remember, you probably remember seeing in the movie Miss Congeniality, she's like practicing her reaction. Maybe I tell everybody, maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have started practicing my reaction before I actually won, because there's some really horrible pictures of me after I won.
Now, were you acquainted with any of the girls that were in the Miss Alabama USA contest in Montgomery? Did you know some of them perhaps from Auburn?
No, I didn't know anyone.
Didn't know anyone?
No, I didn't. And so I remember going in and because, you know, in that type of competition, you're told you need to act this way, and you need to remember it's a competition, and you're not there to make friends. And to me, I kind of looked at that negatively. Like, I want to make friends, and I want to have that experience and develop new relationships and friendships. And so I did, and I made myself open to getting to know the girls and telling all of them that they looked absolutely beautiful. And so that kind of built me up too, and kept complimenting the other girls, and so I think they appreciated that a little bit.
Right. Okay. Now, from there, of course, you went on to Las Vegas, where you were in the top 10.
I was,
in Las Vegas. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think everyone in town has probably said congratulations to you for such
I think they're more proud than anything.
Okay, before we move on, I want you to discuss a little bit, for our audience out there, a little bit about the differences in the Miss USA and the Miss Universe pageant, as opposed to the Miss America pageant.
Right, okay. Well, Miss America is more scholarship driven. It's more about promoting kind of their accomplishments and kind of how they present themselves with poise and elegance, just like we do. But like I said, it's more scholarship driven. And if you win your city, you go on to the state. And if you win your state, you go on to the national pageant, Miss America pageant. And it also has a talent portion where they perform their talent.
Right.
And that's the main difference between the Miss America and Miss USA. Because the Miss USA pageant does not have a talent portion. It just has the evening gown, the interview, and the swimsuit competition. And then also another difference is that, well, obviously Donald Trump owns the Miss USA portion. And the winner goes on to Miss Universe, which they compete against all the countries in the world. And so, those are the primary differences.
Okay. Now, you mentioned talent. I've always heard that everyone has some talent.
Right.
What do you consider your greatest gift?
Well, my talents are not easily performed on stage. As I told you earlier, I'm really talented at drawing and painting and sewing and really anything kind of creative. I'm talented in sports. I'm very athletic. I feel like I can really get down and dirty if I need to. I'm really talented at social situations. I can kind of familiarize myself, and I can go to the Deer Expo and talk to all of my Alabama residents, but also I can go to New York and speak to Donald Trump.
You still have that tomboy in you then?
I do.
Okay.
I love to deer hunt.
Okay.
I have my own rifle. I've always been able to go with my family growing up, and I cherish that.
You go with your dad, your brother?
Oh yeah, it's a family affair.
Right.
It is.
Right.
And
okay.
And so, but yeah, like I said, I can do that, but also I can go and have dinner with Donald Trump and socialize myself with celebrities and all that kind of different thing. But yeah, I think I'm a pretty talented person. It's just nothing that I can easily display on stage.
Okay. I have a story related to that, but I'm going to save it for just a moment, and I'll tell you about it. We're going to break again from Focus. Again, our guest is Katherine Webb, the reigning Miss Alabama USA, and we'll be back for more Focus in just a moment. Welcome back to Focus on East Alabama. Again, our guest is Katherine Webb, the reigning Miss Alabama USA. We've been enjoying a conversation with Katherine about who she is and where she came from. Now we want to talk about the big event that she was in just recently, and that is the competition for Miss USA in Las Vegas. So Katherine, as I told you earlier, I wanted you to do most of the talking. But I do have to share one thing with you. You mentioned the fact that you love art. Several years ago, I was teaching privately, and a young lady who was competing in the Miss Phenix City pageant did not know what to do. And I suggested to her that she do a quick painting, and I taught her to do quick painting in acrylics, and she actually completed a painting in 10 minutes time, which was the time allotted for her talent, and presented it to the judges as her talent portion.
Wow, that's impressive.
I can't remember, it's been a long time ago, but I can't remember how well she did. Yeah. But I was proud of her anyway.
That's awesome. That's awesome to have a talent like that.
So she did very well from what I can remember. Now, tell us about your visit to the city of Las Vegas, Nevada. I've never been there, and I assume you probably had not either until this trip, right?
Well, I've been 2 times prior.
Oh, well, you have? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I had done a few modeling things there and was able to go and visit and actually watch the Miss USA pageant probably 3 years before I actually competed.
So you were not totally awestruck then when you got there?
Well, it's completely different going and watching Miss USA and kind of dreaming about the experience and hoping one day you'll be in that position. But to actually kind of fulfill those shoes, live in those shoes, and to be behind the scenes and kind of experience everything that you've watched on TV and YouTube for so long, it's crazy. It's surreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I won the Miss Alabama USA pageant on January 29th. And so from the end of January all the way up to just a few weeks ago, I had been preparing for the actual pageant and working out and eating healthy and getting my wardrobe together and just really practicing on the interview as well. And so everything, every hour of every day is devoted to just that, is to preparing for the national pageant. And so I remember packing and leaving and going to the airport and being like, wow, I'm actually doing this. And I land in Vegas, and me and my roommate in Miss South Carolina have our sashes on, and we're walking through the airport, and people were recognizing us and asking for our autographs. And
Did they say, hey, y'all?
No. Usually people that are in the area, in the Las Vegas area, that are from Alabama, they'll be like, Roll Tide, or something like that. And I'll be like, we're Eagle.
Yeah, right.
Because I went to
Exactly.
Auburn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just crazy. And I remember I had 7 bags of luggage, and one of them was for my shoes. One of them was for my makeup and hair products and curling irons, and the others were for my clothes and so.
7. I hate to imagine
yes.
what your excess luggage fee
I
was.
don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, I would have to say that was about the average number of bags each girl had. Mm-hmm. And so going through the airport with 7 bags of luggage was a hassle. But we got to the hotel and unloaded our bags, and there were bags stacked up in our room everywhere. And because it was me and my roommate, South Carolina, and we were sharing a room, and so that was pretty interesting. But remember the day of registration, all the girls are together, and we're all like comparing ourselves to each other. And when you're technically not supposed to do that, but hey, it's a competition.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of check everybody out or whatever. But I think after a couple of days, everybody kind of let their guard down and started getting to know each other. Mm-hmm. And that was great. And it was great getting to know girls from each part of the country and how different they are, and how awesome their accents are. And I think, I don't think I have an accent, like a very apparent accent, but apparently to them I do. Mm-hmm. And so they would make fun of me. They're like, hey girl, you from Alabama? Talking all country. I do not talk like that. So it was funny. But one of the girls I really connected with was Miss Texas. And I love her. I love her to death. And I think we'll probably end up moving in together in New York one day. But her and Miss South Carolina were my two girls. And then also Miss Georgia. She was one of my favorite girls that I connected with too. But yeah, it was an awesome thing, and being backstage and just competing on stage, and you had to kind of forget that you were on a nationally televised segment. Otherwise, the nerves would probably hinder you from performing the way you needed to. But it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I never will forget it. But
now, you mentioned Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Did you have an opportunity to meet and talk with him?
Yeah, I did.
Now,
and,
tell me honestly now, what kind of guy is he?
He is a very poised and I'll admit, he is very egotistical. Of course, whenever you are one of the most powerful men in the world, I don't see why you would not be. But I can tell that the way he is in public and who he is not who he is at home. And because he's created himself a brand, and himself is his own brand. Mm-hmm. And so he has to kind of live that persona in the public eye. But I can just kind of look at him and realize that he reminds me a lot of my father, and in a sense, because he's very poised, and he's very business savvy, and he really, really cares. Just watching The Apprentice, I can tell he really cares about his family, and he likes to include his family in his business adventures, and so that reminds me a lot of my father. And so I appreciated him for that. Mm-hmm. And what I appreciated more about him was that he took the time to shake each one of our hands and to talk to each and every one of us. And with someone of that stature and someone of that prestige to do that. It's humbling, and it was just awesome. I like him a lot.
Great, great. Now, we have just a couple of minutes left. I want you to do me a big favor.
Yeah.
I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to tell any young lady that's out there that's considering entering any kind of beauty competition,
Okay.
what you consider the most important things for them to do and to concentrate on. Because I know we're going to have some kids watching this.
Yes.
So just your words of advice.
From experience, I would have to say entering into the beauty pageant industry was probably one of the best things that's happened to me. And I'm definitely not the beauty pageant girl type of, I don't fit the mold. I'm not the typical, I've been doing it all of my life and I just want to wear the crown and the sash, and that wasn't my intentions, and I don't think that should be your intention either. I think that you should go in hoping to win for the opportunities that you'll be presented with after you win. And so that's something that I would like to tell you. Also, just don't go in comparing yourself to all the other girls, because in the end, it's who the judges want. They pick who they want to fit the mold, and it's nothing against you. If you don't appeal to the judges this year, then go for it next year. And it wasn't your time to win anyways for that year. And I really feel like everything happens for a reason. But make yourself available to get to know the other girls. Don't keep your guard up. Don't think that, oh, it's a competition, I can't get to know anyone, and not be really friendly. But really try and get to know the other girls and develop those relationships, because they'll love you and they'll appreciate you for that. And I think it'll make the experience so much more fun. But overall for me, it was a wonderful experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't have, if I wouldn't have entered in the pageant and kind of let my fears fade away and go for it. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for those words, and I'm sure that those kids out there watching, I say kids, those young people out there watching, will heed those words of advice. We thank you, too, for being with us for our interview with Katherine today. And again, Katherine, on behalf of everybody in the area, congratulations on being Miss Alabama USA, and for placing in the top 10 in the competition for Miss USA in Las Vegas. It's been a pleasure to have you in. We thank you, too, for joining us for Focus on East Alabama. Just need to remind you, this is brought to you courtesy of Cable Television of East Alabama, your hometown connection for cable television, high-speed internet, and telephone. We'll see you next time.